It was coming down hard that Thursday morning, the kind of cold, sideways rain that soaks through your coat no matter how fast you move. I walked into the office dripping, still trying to shake off the storm, when I saw Darren waiting at my desk. He didn't say good morning, didn't even look up at first, just slid a manila envelope across the surface like he was handing me someone else's mail. "You're being transferred," he said, smiling like it was some kind of promotion. I blinked. Transferred? Westbrook Service Center. Effective Monday. That was it. No explanation, no heads up. Just a sealed envelope and a smug smile like he'd just scratched an itch that had been bugging him for months. I looked around the floor. Nobody met my eyes. Not Jenna from compliance, not Dave from finance, not even Kim, who I'd split a damn sandwich with last week. Quick note, before we get deeper, tell us which country you're watching from. Everyone knew what Westbrook meant. It was the branch they used to joke about during happy hours, the graveyard. An old strip mall location with peeling signage and barely any traffic. Word was they'd been planning to close it for over a year. A few weeks out, tops. And now I was being sent there like some walking pink slip with a pulse. I'd given this company 3 years of my life. Long hours, weekends, middle-of-the-night fire drills. I was the one they called when things got ugly. Darren's guy. Until I made the mistake of speaking up in that last ops meeting. He was cutting the middle-income service plans. Said they didn't drive enough premium value. I'd called him out. Not loud, not rude. Just asked how dropping thousands of working-class clients aligned with our mission. The room went quiet. He played it off. But I knew I'd stepped over a line. Now I was paying for it. I didn't say a word. Just took the envelope, nodded once, and walked out like I wasn't unraveling inside. Outside, the rain was colder than before. I didn't even try for an Uber. Just stood there waiting for the bus like some wet reject while cars sprayed by, horns blaring. That night, I couldn't eat, couldn't sit still. The more I thought about it, the clearer it got. This wasn't a transfer. It was a soft execution, a corporate slow bleed. Monday morning, I walked into Westbrook for the first time. The place looked like it hadn't been cleaned in months. Brown carpet with dark stains, flickering lights, front counter held together with duct tape. 5 employees sat scattered behind dusty desks, all watching me like I was the new guy at a funeral. Nobody said a word. I stepped inside, shut the door behind me, and walked straight to the front desk. A woman in her late 50s looked up from behind a monitor the size of a microwave. Her glasses were fogged up. She pushed them down her nose and gave me a look like she already knew exactly how this was going to go. "You must be the new branch manager," she said, flat. "I guess that's me," I said, trying not to sound as bitter as I felt. "Name's Jordan." She didn't offer a handshake, just stood and said, "Pam, assistant manager." She turned and walked toward the back office without checking if I was following. I trailed her past stained carpet, dusty fake plants, and a flickering ceiling light that clicked like a metronome. Inside the office, she dropped into her chair with a groan. "No one told us you were coming," she said, flipping through a thick folder of maintenance requests. Honestly, not sure why they bothered. I raised an eyebrow. "Why's that?" She looked at me, no sugarcoating it. "They're closing this place. You're here to babysit the death spiral." I let that hang for a second. "They've been saying we're closing soon." Pam snorted. "Place is already halfway gone." She wasn't wrong. The back wall had a water stain the size of a trash can lid. The filing cabinet leaned sideways. Half the staff had earbuds in and didn't even pretend to look busy. "Morale's shot," she added. "Techs from the Stone Age." Most of our clients left because no one upstairs gave a damn. I sat down at the desk across from her and started flipping through files. The first binder was filled with policy printouts that hadn't been updated in 5 years. The second had handwritten service logs, half of them flagged, none resolved. Then I found a stack of exit surveys rubber-banded together, dozens of them, all from long-term clients, all basically saying the same thing. "We didn't leave. You pushed us out." I held one up. "These real?" Pam nodded. "That whole cabinet's full of them. Company told us we weren't aligned with strategy. That's code for our clients not spending enough." "Who are your clients?" "Working folks, immigrants, people who still walk in to pay bills and cash checks. Not the type corporate wants in the glossy ads." I sat back, heart thudding in my chest. This wasn't mismanagement. This was abandonment, planned and polished from the top down. That night, I didn't eat dinner. just sat on the couch with a blank notepad in my lap and the worst taste in my mouth. I kept seeing Darren's face, how smug he looked sliding that envelope across my desk. Like he knew I'd be standing in this moldy office with a sinking ship and no crew. They wanted me to fail here, quietly. Just one more empty chair and a dead-end branch they could sweep under a quarterly report. But the thing about being backed into a corner, you start noticing exits no one else is looking for. I was staring at zoning maps out of sheer desperation, trying to find out what this neighborhood used to be when I spotted it. 2 blocks east, a wide red line wrapped around 6 streets like a spotlight. River Commons Redevelopment Zone. It was marked active development. I clicked through the link and nearly dropped the laptop. New small businesses. Over 300 projected in the next 18 months. Mixed-use buildings, pop-up shops, co-ops, independent gyms, bakeries, tech startups. The whole damn corridor was about to explode, and no one at corporate had noticed. Or maybe they had, and just didn't care. I leaned forward, scanned through the list of open commercial licenses, and felt something shift. Westbrook wasn't dead. It was just ignored. If the company wanted me gone, they should have sent someone dumber. The next morning, I was in the office before the lights even buzzed on. Pam walked in with her usual travel mug and a tired grunt. I didn't wait. "You know about River Commons?" I asked, flipping my laptop around. She blinked at the screen, then leaned in. "Sure, the redevelopment. Why? There's over 300 small businesses going up 2 blocks from here. You're telling me not one of them banks with us?" Pam snorted. "Not a single one. Corporate didn't want us wasting time on startups. So, who do they bank with?" She shrugged. "Whoever actually showed up." I stared at her. "We're sitting on a gold mine, and HQ can't be bothered to look out the window." She sat down slowly. "That's about the size of it." I stood up and paced the office, heart pounding. "Pam, what if we stopped waiting on HQ and did something ourselves?" She raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" "Like everything they're not doing. We stop following the script. We go after those businesses. Bring them here." Pam gave a dry laugh. "Jordan, that's a hell of a suicide note. They've already written us off. They're just waiting for the branch to die. What do we have to lose?" She paused. For the first time, she didn't look tired. She looked interested. "Get the others," I said. "Let's talk." By 9 a.m., the rest of the crew was crammed into the back office, half of them still holding coffee cups or breakfast bars. Miguel handled loans. Early 30s, local guy, sharp but quiet. Daryl manned the front desk. Techie, sarcastic, and constantly fixing our broken machines with duct tape and spite. Vanessa ran new accounts, barely mid-20s, dressed like she was going to war every day. Deshaun was the old soul, customer service rep for over a decade, knew every regular by name, and every policy better than HR. I gave them the short version, what I'd found, what we could do, what we were up against. Vanessa laughed first. "You want us to rebel against the company? With what? Pens and paper clips? We already don't matter to them," I said. "They've cut funding, ignored this place, and thrown me in here to die quiet. So, yeah, I want to rebel. I want to prove we're not dead yet." No one spoke for a second. Then Miguel said, "I know half the guys opening shops down there. Some of them still owe me beers." Pam crossed her arms. "We'd need service plans, real ones. Something they can use." Vanessa glanced at Daryl. "My cousin's on the River Commons merchant board. She might get us in the room." Daryl leaned back. "I can rig up some contact tools, maybe spin a few new client forms if we don't mind bending rules." Deshaun grinned. "I still got a Rolodex. Let me handle the walk-ins while you all storm the gates." I smiled. "Then let's build something." By lunchtime, we had a basic plan. Miguel and I drafted small business account bundles. No fluff, no fake perks. Real solutions for startup owners. Same-day processing, low fees, in-person support. Vanessa and Daryl prepped outreach. Flyers, cold call lists, door-to-door schedules. Pam and Deshaun would keep the current branch from falling apart in the meantime. We kept it lean. Aggressive, guerrilla style. No corporate systems, no memos. Nothing digital Darren could sniff. That night, we stayed late, dragging folding tables into the break room and covering the walls with whiteboards and old cork panels. Vanessa brought string and push pins like we were solving a murder. Daryl printed maps. Miguel filled in names. Deshaun pinned up every old client who'd walked away. By next p.m., the break room was unrecognizable. Charts, timelines, tracking grids. It looked like we were planning a heist. I stared at the board, marker in hand, and said what none of us wanted to say out loud. This might not work. Pam stepped beside me, but at least we'll go out swinging. Pam's words were still hanging in the air when the first blow landed. Midweek, right before lunch, an all-staff email blasted our inboxes with the subject line, "Mandatory shutdown training, Westbrook only, daily, 1 to 5 in the afternoon, starting today." Pam read it twice. He's on to us. Of course he was. Darren wasn't stupid. Petty, yes. Vindictive, absolutely. But stupid, never. "They'll expect all of us there," she said. "They'll get you and me," I said. "Everyone else suddenly develops tech issues." Pam smirked. "The kind that mysteriously clear up at 5 p.m.? Exactly. We headed to HQ like two kids sent to the principal's office. The second we walked into the training room, I knew it was a trap. Bright lights, plastic chairs, corporate posters about embracing closure with grace. A trainer with a monotone voice reading from slides that looked older than our branch carpet. Darren walked in halfway through and pretended to be surprised to see me. "Well, look at that," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Our newest transfer. Brave of you to come in after everything." I kept my jaw locked. "Just following instructions." He smiled like he'd won something. "Good, that's rare these days." The whole 4 hours was a mix of useless exercises and forced positivity. Pam kept whispering comments that nearly made me laugh, but I stayed stone-faced. Every time I shifted, I felt Darren's eyes on my back. When the clock hit 5, Pam and I practically sprinted out of the building. The second we walked into Westbrook, the air felt different. Alive. Miguel was leaning over the counter with a stack of business cards. 15 meetings, he said, before I even set my bag down. All legit. They want to hear what we offer. Vanessa spun around in her chair, grinning. Guess who just got us into the River Commons merchant event on Saturday? My cousin said they've been begging for a bank to show up. Even Daryl looked proud. We're onboarding 2 walk-ins right now. They said they're tired of being ignored. For a moment, I let myself breathe. Then everything imploded again. We tore through the next few hours like we were racing a stopwatch. Every application was handwritten, every signature verified by eye. Miguel ran outside every half hour to make calls from the parking lot, because the branch phones were glitching again. Vanessa kept her cousin updated about our numbers. Pam and Deshaun kept the lobby steady, talking to walk-ins like nothing unusual was happening. By 7, we had a pile of completed forms spread across the back table. Real clients, real interest, real momentum. But we couldn't slow down. I stood in the newly built war room, staring at our charts and maps, feeling that familiar heat in my chest. Darren wanted us suffocated, but he underestimated just how much trouble a desperate team could cause. "We keep going," I said. "System or no system. They can't shut us down if we're everywhere they're not looking." Miguel grabbed another stack of forms. "Then let's stay ahead of them." We got back to work. Harder. Then Monday came and everything hit the wall. I walked in, coffee in hand, and froze. 2 guys in IT polos were already at my desk, yanking cords like they were repoing the machines. "What the hell is this?" I asked. One of them didn't even look at me. "Scheduled hardware upgrades." "Since when?" The other shrugged. "Came straight from HQ. Orders are to pull every system for maintenance. Won't take long." He was lying. I could see it in his face. Pam came in behind me and stopped cold. Vanessa was already on her phone. Deadline. Daryl ran a diagnostics check from his laptop and swore under his breath. "We're offline," he said. "Everything's cooked. Server, phones, even the copiers bricked. It wasn't upgrades. It was an execution. They cut the head off and left the body twitching. The team stood around, stunned. Miguel dropped into a chair and let out a long breath. "They finally did it," he said. Vanessa sat down, slow, defeated. "What now?" Even Pam didn't have a comeback. The silence hit hard. For a second, I almost gave up. I really did. Then Grace, quiet little Grace, the teller who barely said 10 words all week, cleared her throat. I might know a place we can go." We all turned to look at her. "My cousin manages the River Commons office building," she said. "There's a temp space next to a bakery. It's just sitting empty." I stared at her. "Can you get us in?" She nodded. "If I ask nice." I didn't even hesitate. Then we move. 2 hours later, we were packing boxes, paper forms, branch stamps, the broken laminator, anything not bolted down. Grace made a call, and by lunchtime, we were hauling gear into a tiny strip office that smelled like frosting and fried dough. The space had 2 folding tables, a squeaky ceiling fan, and 0 privacy. But it had power, and a front door. We slapped a temporary outreach office sign on the glass and got to work. Vanessa and Daryl went door to door, up and down River Commons, cold calling in person. Miguel made lists from his contacts and set up back-to-back meetings. Pam handled appointments. Deshawn ran intake. Grace printed flyers at the local library and handed them out on her lunch break. Word spread faster than we expected. People weren't just interested. They were shocked anyone gave a damn. "We thought your bank was pulling out," one cafe owner said. "They are," I told him. "We're not. We didn't have systems, but we had pens, clipboards, trust. We filled out paper apps by hand, notarized them the old-school way, and used our personal phones to keep in touch. To avoid suspicion, we processed accounts through 4 different branches. Whoever still answered our calls and owed someone on the team a favor. Miguel leaned hard on his friend from across town. Vanessa ran approvals through the community channel. Daryl used backdoor print systems at a college lab he used to attend. We moved like shadows. By Wednesday, a sign appeared on the Westbrook door. Temporarily closed for infrastructure upgrades. No return date listed. We didn't stop. By Friday, we'd signed 22 new business accounts. That number might not sound like a lot, but every one of them came from nothing. No corporate support, no systems, just pure hustle. One guy ran a food truck. He told us every other bank turned him down for not having a lease. "You're the first person who didn't treat me like trash," he said, shaking Miguel's hand. Another woman ran a print shop with her husband. She signed up on the spot after seeing Vanessa show up twice in one day just to drop off paperwork in person. "You're the bankers who make house calls," she joked. The name stuck. By the end of the week, people were waving at us as we walked down the plaza. Some were already sending referrals. By Friday morning, I was halfway through my second cup of gas station coffee when the email came in. Subject: branch closure timeline adjustment. Westbrook branch, final inventory, Sunday 10 a.m. Effective closure date, Monday 9 a.m. No warning, just a bullet to the head. I stared at the screen, jaw clenched so tight my teeth hurt. Pam looked up from her paperwork. "What now?" "We've got 48 hours, I said. "Then it's over." When I told the team, nobody spoke for a full 10 seconds. Miguel dropped his pen. Vanessa turned away. Even Daryl didn't crack a joke. Rajan, our part-time teller, who helped us with form tracking, just muttered, "He wins again." I looked around the room and felt something snap inside me. "Not yet, he doesn't." Pam raised an eyebrow. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking we go around him." I pulled out my laptop and opened the corporate directory. Buried in an old HR onboarding PDF was a list of executive committee names. No phone numbers, just names, titles, and office cities. That was enough. Miguel leaned in. "You really think someone up there gives a damn?" "Maybe not," I said. "But we're not looking for someone to care. We're looking for someone with a reason." 2 hours later, I had it. One of our new River Commons clients, a boutique marketing firm, was owned by a guy named Travis Benton. His last name popped a memory. I double-checked the CFO's bio on LinkedIn. Kenneth Wright, CFO, with a bullet point buried deep in his volunteer section. Mentor to Travis Benton, founder of Bright Current Media. Nephew, another click, another search. Boom. CFO's nephew. I kept going. Pam walked over, coffee in hand. "Find anything useful?" "Yeah," I said, not looking up. "Ammo." Next up was Gloria White, VP of Regional Development. She was known for pushing minority small business programs and sponsoring immigrant entrepreneur grants. Guess who we'd signed yesterday? 2 women from El Salvador who just opened a food truck. I printed their client letters and stapled them to our growing evidence pile. Then Grace piped up from the corner. "My cousin just texted," she said. "River Commons is hosting a press event Sunday. Mayor's speaking, local vendors, media, big turnout. Executives might show," I asked. She nodded. "They usually do. Last time the COO came. That was it, the opening." I stood up. "Here's the play." We hit as many as we can before Sunday. We build a report, print it, bind it, hand deliver it. No digital files, no emails, no traces Darren can bury. We walk it straight to the top and put it in their hands. Deshaun shook his head slowly. You want us to go full analog in under 48 hours. You want to walk away empty? I shot back. No one said yes. Vanessa rolled her sleeves up. Then let's move. Miguel hit the street like a salesman on fire. By the end of the day, he'd scheduled 6 new walkthroughs. Pam and Grace combed through every form, flagged typos, corrected mistakes, reprinted files. Daryl set up a makeshift scanner at the bakery next door and started building a hard copy portfolio, color-coded, tabbed, with handwritten notes from clients who signed that week. Vanessa called every single River Commons contact she had and lined up 2 more face-to-face meetings. We were in full sprint. By sunset, we'd added 11 new businesses. Some had cash in hand. Some just wanted to be heard. A barbershop owner told Deshaun, "This is the first time a banker's come to me instead of waiting for me to crawl to them." We wrote his quote down and added it to the back cover of the report. At midnight, we were still in that tiny room sweating over the numbers. Final count, 43 new accounts. All local, all verified. We weren't just alive. We were a storm. Miguel leaned back in his chair, exhausted. Still 7 short. "I'm not worried," I said. "We'll close the rest tomorrow." Then I looked at Pam. "I need one more thing." She glanced up. "Get me Wright's Saturday schedule. I want to talk to him before the event." She nodded slowly. "You're going straight to the CFO?" "If I can find him, yeah." The room went quiet. Then Daryl muttered, "Damn right." Pam had the address by sunrise. Kenneth Wright played early tea times every Saturday at Oak Valley, 30 minutes outside the city. I threw on a clean button-up, printed 3 fresh copies of our report, and drove out there with the kind of focus you only get when everything's on the line. I found him at the Course Cafe, sitting at a shaded patio table, tapping through emails on a tablet with a half-finished cappuccino beside him. Mid-60s, pressed polo, expensive watch, the kind of guy who's used to running rooms without raising his voice. I walked straight up and said, "Mr. Wright, your nephew Travis says hi." He glanced up. "Travis?" "Bright Current Media, River Commons. He opened a business account with us last week." That got his attention. He set the tablet down. "You're with Westbrook?" "I'm the branch manager, technically, until Monday." He gestured at the seat across from him. "Sit." I slid into the chair and dropped the report binder on the table. 43 local businesses, all new, all acquired in under 2 weeks. Westbrook's been marked for closure, but I think you'll want to see this before that happens. He opened the cover and started flipping through, not rushing, not skimming either. "This Darren guy," he said after a minute, "he's your direct supervisor?" "Yes," I said, "and the reason I'm here instead of in a real office." I kept it tight. No whining, just facts. "He gutted our service plans for working-class clients," I said. I called him out in a meeting. A week later, I'm transferred to a dying branch with no budget, no notice, and no support. What he didn't count on was the fact that we're sitting 2 blocks from the fastest-growing business corridor in the region. Wright leaned back and nodded slowly. "River Commons. We've signed businesses Darren didn't even know existed. You've got immigrant entrepreneurs, generational shop owners, and your nephew, who, by the way, is projected to hit 7 figures in under a year." He flipped to the customer letters in the back, scanned a few, paused longer on the handwritten ones. "The kind people don't fake. You've got a real operation here," he said. "Not for long," I replied. "I just got word the board meeting's been moved to Sunday night. Darren's trying to push a pre-approval to shut Westbrook down before anyone sees what we built." He stared at the page in front of him like it was a poker hand. "Why tell me?" he asked. "Because you actually have skin in this game, family, community. And because the second you sign off on Darren's plan, this whole thing dies, quietly. Just another ghost branch with no paper trail." He studied me. Not impressed, not dismissive either, just watching, measuring. I leaned forward. "There's a press event at River Commons tomorrow. The mayor's speaking, vendors, press, maybe some of your board. If you want proof, come see for yourself." He didn't blink. "You want me to show up at a public event and challenge a sitting VP? I want you to see the damage he's trying to cover up. What you do after that is your call." He tapped the cover of the report. "You're walking a thin line, son. Been walking it for weeks." He didn't say yes, didn't say no. Just stood up, took the binder under his arm, and walked off without shaking my hand. But he didn't leave the report behind. Back at the cafe next to our borrowed office, the team looked like they'd been through a war. Grace was asleep on a chair. Pam was hunched over a stack of forms, eyes red. Daryl had 2 laptops open and a coffee cup in each hand. Miguel looked up as I walked in. "Well, I found him. He listened. Didn't commit." Vanessa sighed. "Great. But he took the report," I added. That changed the mood a little. Not relief, but hope. A crack of it. We didn't stop to celebrate. We had more work to do. That night, we built a second version of the report. Cleaner, tighter, ready to drop at a moment's notice. We recorded testimonial videos, scanned every document 3 different ways, got a CPA to sign off on our projections, and just past midnight, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Darren's planning another systems hit tomorrow. Be ready." I stared at the screen and felt the blood drain from my face. He was going to burn it all. I looked up at the team. "Print everything," I said. "We go full analog." And we did. By morning, every surface in that bakery-adjacent office was stacked with binders, charts, affidavits, and customer statements. Daryl set up a corner for video testimonials. Miguel's friends certified our revenue projections. Grace ran non-stop between the printer and the binding machine. We even brought in a local CPA, guy Deshaun knew through his church, to sign off on the numbers with his stamp and license number. No emails, no spreadsheets, no logins, just paper, ink, sweat, and facts. At 10 a.m. sharp, we showed up for inventory. Darren was already there, standing in the lobby with a fake smile face and his hands in his pockets like he owned the place. He looked around the empty branch like it disgusted him, like it was already a memory he'd erased. "Nice of you to show," he said. "Ready to hand over the keys?" I didn't flinch. "You'll get them at the River Commons event, 3 o'clock. His jaw twitched. "That wasn't a request." I stepped closer. "Then take it as a courtesy." He narrowed his eyes. "You're done after this, Jordan. You know that, right? Retail jobs barely pay enough to cover rent. Hope you like name tags." I smiled. "I'll survive." He didn't answer, just turned and stalked off to harass the inventory crew. We didn't wait around. By 2:30, the team was in place at the plaza, dressed sharp, holding binders, standing just behind the vendor tables. Grace had gotten us a corner near the main tent. The mayor's banner waved in the breeze. Local reporters started filing in. The air buzzed with something different. Anticipation. At 3 p.m. sharp, the mayor stepped onto the mic. "River Commons," she said, "is proof that small businesses are the heart of our community." The crowd clapped. People cheered. Cameras flashed. Then something incredible happened. The Business Association president took the mic and pointed straight at us. "I also want to thank the outreach team from the Westbrook Service Center," she said. "They've shown up for our businesses when no one else did." There was a pause, then loud, honest applause. Darren was in the crowd. I saw his face twitch like he just swallowed something sour. Then Wright stepped forward. No suit. No staff. Just him, holding our binder. He walked to the front of the crowd and cleared his throat. "I had no intention of speaking today," he said, "but I received this report from a team that wasn't supposed to succeed. They weren't given support. They weren't given resources. They were supposed to fail quietly. Instead, they built something our company should have seen before now." He looked over at me. "I'd like the branch manager, Jordan Collins, to come share what they've found." I didn't hesitate. I stepped forward, binder in hand, hands steady. 43 new business accounts in under 2 weeks, I said. Projected revenue in the millions, community ties, local hiring, real impact. All ignored by our corporate leadership because the branch didn't fit the image they wanted. I turned slightly, locked eyes with Darren. This closure isn't about performance. It's about a mistake being buried, and the people paying for it are right here. Owners, workers, families. The ones who always get left behind when someone at the top wants to save face. Darren stepped forward. "That's a serious accusation." But the crowd turned. One of the food truck owners shouted, "You didn't return my calls for 3 months." A woman from the bookstore raised her hand. "He's right. We reached out 5 times before they showed up." The noise grew. Wright held up a hand and nodded. "We'll be reviewing this fully," he said, "with the entire board." The applause started slow, then rolled through the crowd like a wave. Not polite, not performative, real. Darren tried to speak again, but no one gave him the mic. The moment was gone. We stood there, in the heart of River Commons, surrounded by the people we'd fought for, and we weren't invisible anymore. I didn't even make it off the plaza before Darren came storming up, jaw clenched, fists tight at his sides. "You think this little stunt bought you time?" he hissed. "It's too late. You're done. Fired. Paperwork's already being processed." I reached into my coat pocket and handed him a card. "Already submitted my resignation. Effective tonight." He blinked, caught off guard. "You walked away? After all that?" "No," I said. "I moved up." His eyes narrowed. "What the hell does that mean?" "The mayor offered me a job, Director of Financial Access for River Commons." He scoffed, bitter. "Enjoy running around with a clipboard while the grown-ups make decisions." This was all for nothing. I stepped in closer, just enough for only him to hear. "No," I said, "because that file I gave right, it includes proof you cooked service data to justify closing branches in immigrant neighborhoods." His face drained. "You built your career on burying the weak. Now, half the city just watched it collapse." He didn't have a comeback, just turned and shoved his way into the crowd. We didn't follow. That night, we were all jammed into a corner booth at Celestina's Cafe. Grace brought cupcakes. Daryl stole the aux cord. The news played quietly on the TV behind the counter. Then the anchor's voice cut through the hum. "Breaking tonight. Senior VP Darren Ellis placed on administrative leave. Corporate confirms an internal investigation is underway." Miguel shouted. Pam dropped her fork. I just leaned back in my seat, the noise around me fading. Then my phone buzzed. Text. Unknown number. I opened it. Board approved permanent River Commons location. Want to run it? KW. I turned the screen to the team. They went silent. Vanessa stared. "You serious?" I nodded. "Only if I bring my own crew." Daryl burst out laughing. "From the grave to the penthouse." I lifted my coffee. "Sometimes," I said, "the best revenge is just staying on your feet."